Hi, I'm Brickroad. Let's play some more Aladdin. It's just a really good time to play SNES Aladdin on YouTube right now. Actually, I have Let's Played this game before. This is one of the very first Let's Play series I've ever put on YouTube. And so playing a game that I've actually already played does seem kind of self-indulgent. It took 3 tries to get that word out because I'm so embarrassed of playing a game that I played before. No, it does seem a little self-indulgent. It's a little bit redundant, maybe, to play a game that I've already played before. But there's 3 really good reasons. For one, they do have that movie coming out. In fact, I think it literally opens the day that I'm uploading this. If I'm looking at my calendar, I think it opens for general audiences this Friday. I just saw the first actual, YouTube reviewer video today, so that the day that I'm recording this, so that must mean that the movie's coming out this Friday. So it's a good time to have Aladdin stuff on YouTube right now. Just a good keyword to have in your new videos right now. So the optics are good. If you happen to just randomly click this video because it's Aladdin times in your world, I welcome you to my channel. I'm glad you found it. This is a version of Aladdin that was made in the 1990s, very early 1990s. So the second reason that it's just a good time to play this game is I just Let's Played the Genesis version of this game just not even a full week ago. I don't think. It's just been very, very recently. And I talked a lot about this game in that series because it's my contention that this is the superior version of the Aladdin video game. They're very, very different from each other. If you've watched that series, you'll see right away how different it is. It's a much slower, more deliberate game. You don't have a sword to attack enemies. You kind of have to just do a lot of bouncing and swinging and gliding, and there's just a lot of differences between the two. But I want to make sure that I'm not just talking out of my butt when I talk about how much better this version of the game is. Like, you know what? Let's actually play the game and make sure that I know what I'm talking about. Let's not just declare it to be so and then scuttle off to the hinterlands. It's not a good place to be this time of year. Very cold, very, very lonely, the hinterlands. I wouldn't go if I were you. It's a bad place to visit. Use your vacation days more wisely. But no, I thought having a compare and contrast so closely back-to-back the two games would be very, very interesting. The third reason is I have been wanting to redo some of the really old content on this channel. In fact, it's a process I kind of have already started in some sense because the very first Let's Play I ever did on this channel was Mega Man 3 for the NES, and more recently here, a couple of years later, they released a Mega Man Legacy collection on Steam that didn't load for me, but I still wanted to play them all, so I played Mega Man 1 through 6 for that series on YouTube. Just using the emulators, not using the Steam version, considering that wouldn't load for me at all. What do I want to get down here? Ooh, a 1-up, I want this. So yeah, I've kind of already gone back through Mega Man 3. And I just think it'll be useful to go through some of my old series and redo some of them, because very early on in this channel, I had a gimmick that I would do when I would play these games. I would play them sped up in the emulator. It's actually where my Twitter handle comes from, 143% speed, because that's just how the NES emulator sped things up at the time. Actually, I think Aladdin, done in SNES 9X, or whatever emulator I used, sped up to like 170% speed. It was much faster. So if I played the game as a gimmick... No, I want to not grab this cloth here. I want to kill this guy, and then do this. Yeah, buddy. And that should be all of the red gems. So I just kind of want to go back. Some of those earliest games I did on the channel are games that I really loved as a kid and wanted to bring to YouTube. But I kind of, looking back now, I feel like I didn't do them justice. I kind of sped through them because I had this silly YouTube gimmick. Some of them I'm still okay with because they were scripted. I did Bionic Commando and Super Metroid, and they're still kind of okay because they're scripted, so I made sure I said everything I wanted to say. But Aladdin I don't feel that way about. I feel like I had a gimmick and kind of sold the game up the river in because of that gimmick. So I do want to do a full playthrough of it on YouTube, just as it's in its original speed as it's meant to be played, to kind of get all my thoughts out, do a more thoughtful and complete playthrough of the game. And this scene here is the first time I can add a really good contrast with the Genesis game. Because both of these games came out around the time of the movie, like within the year of the original movie. Let's see if I got all the red gems. I sure did. Let's go to the Cave of Wonders. So, there was this sense of, like, fans of the movie are going to buy these games. It's a licensed game. It's a tie-in. We're not going to pretend like that didn't happen. There are red gems that you can actually miss forever in each level that I'm going to try very hard to not miss. Okay, well, didn't feel like grabbing the stalactite there. Not sure that I can blame you. Not sure that I can blame you. But you can tell the difference between these licensed games that were just, like, grabbed by some studio for, like, the lowest bidder. Like, we don't really care. We know we're going to make our bank off this game because it's about this... oh, I gotta go up here, don't I? Huzzah! Yes! Oh, I did miss the scarab in the first level, though. I didn't do a bonus stage. Let's see if I can get this scarab here. Not that I need the bonus stages or anything, but, you know how it is. And, I mean, that was really true for me. Like, I didn't play the game sight unseen. I had seen the movies before, but... Got that one, and I want this one here. Nice. But you can tell the two companies that did the games... Oh, wait a minute. I gotta go up here, don't I? Got it? Nice. Capcom did this version, and Virgin did the version for Sega Genesis. And you can kind of tell that Capcom cared more about making the game. Because the Sega Genesis version, as we just... Cause I didn't skip the cutscenes in that version of the game. I'm going to skip the cutscenes in this version, but I didn't in that Genesis playthrough. There was information in the game that assumes you've seen the movie. For example, there's a cutscene where Jasmine's like, "Let him go by order of the princess," when in the game, Aladdin and Jasmine had never met. There was never a point where these two characters actually met. The Genie is actually very little in the Genesis version. There's very, very little Genie at all. In terms of, like, you don't... Like, there's a text crawl, I think, that describes, yeah, Aladdin met the Genie, but they don't actually put graphically the Genie on the screen. You really only get to see the Genie in the Genie level, where his face is everywhere. Whereas in this version of the game, we're going to see the Genie... Oh, do I get my, Genie face? That's exactly what we're talking about right here. More care was taken to make sure that the structure and flow of the story actually made it into the game in this version, whereas that was not a consideration for the Genesis version. That's not a deal breaker, obviously. That has nothing to do with the gameplay of the two games. But I did say that I was critical of the gameplay in the Genesis version because in that game, Aladdin, they turn him into a swordsman, like they give him a sword. And they don't really give you really interesting or cool sword mechanics to go with it. It's just you kind of swing the sword a lot, and sometimes you hit the guys, and sometimes the guy hits you, or whatever. But Aladdin's not a swordsman. Like, that's not true to his character. Thematically, it doesn't fit. This is not an issue for a lot of these Disney games, especially the ones I'm putting on my channel right now. It's like, you can look at them and be like, yeah, that doesn't fit thematically with the character. Like, Ariel doesn't actually shoot bubbles at fish. Scrooge McDuck doesn't actually have a pogo stick. Like, this is all fun, like, funny stuff to talk about. But in those cases, the bubbles and the pogo sticks served the gameplay in a way that it didn't matter that it wasn't being true to the character. In Aladdin, though, making him into a swordsman, but then not having, like, fun sword combat, like, you just have this kind of chunky, glitchy, where are my iframes sword battles. And 9 times out of 10, it's better to just throw apples at the enemies anyway. It's like, the sword is never a really good option. It's just there because somebody felt like animating a sword is what it felt like. So it didn't serve the gameplay, so it's a much bigger problem that, hey, it's not thematically appropriate for the character either. This game, though, Aladdin is an acrobat. He swings on stuff, he bounces, he's got a rug to do slow fall. He's got a way to save himself if he's about to fall into a pit. He's agile. His movements feel very weighty and kind of floaty at the same time, but both of those serve the gameplay. He's a big sprite on the screen, and I don't want to run the graphics down. I said in the Genesis version of that game they were kind of working off the actual cells of the movie. A lot more frames of animation, but if you look at the actual graphics and animation in this game, they look pretty good. There are 10 red gems in the next level, and it's an auto-scroller, so I hope I don't miss any of them. In my notes over here, I've got an asterisk next to all the red gems that I can actually miss, and this level is just all asterisks. But Aladdin being an acrobat is, first of all, true to the character, because there's an entire song in the movie about how he's an acrobat that shows him doing all these crazy stunts, zipping through windows and grabbing ledges and swinging on stuff and running across hot coals and doing all this fun Aladdin stuff. So it makes for fun gameplay, because there's kind of not another hero really like Aladdin in this era of games. He kind of brings something unique to the table, even if you've never seen the movie or don't care to watch the movie. But it's also thematically appropriate for the character. Like, hey, let's make a cool acrobat game. We have the Aladdin license. That's perfect. We can do it. Seems really cool, right? So I did make that criticism of the Genesis game, and having played through this game again for the test play for this video, I think that I was not talking out of my rear end. I think my butt was not a flapping on this case. I do think this is the better game by far, and I don't... Like somebody was saying, have been having this conversation a little bit on my Discord server, somebody was like, it's just nostalgia. Whichever one you played first is the one you like better. I don't think that's the case. I think you can state one is better than the other. Because I have nostalgia for both of these games. Like, I played both of these games as a kid. Is that going to hit me? No, we're fine. If you take a hit here, you get iframes, but if you jump in the lava, you get iframes, but if you're in your iframes, the lava will kill you. So what happens if you take a hit in this level is you kind of bounce off whatever it was that you took a hit from, and then you land in the lava and die. So I'm going to try to not do that if I can at all. I played this game and I played the... Ooh, okay, so see, there's my iframes. I just had to partake of them in that case right there. I played this game and I had a buddy of mine who had the Genesis game. I played them both. I don't know that I want to say extensively, because the Genesis version I pretty much played when I was at my buddy's house. Or, okay, you didn't want to bounce off that brick, huh? No problem. We still made it. Like when I was spending the night at his house or something, and we got sick of playing Z-Bots or Street Fighter or whatever, we would play some of his Sega Genesis games. But, so no, I never played the Genesis version extensively, but I played enough of both of them at the time when they were both new that I think I can make as close to an objective judgment as you can. So, consider this my redo of an old Let's Play, and consider this a contrast with a new Let's Play that I just did. Am I going to end up with... I'll take a 1-up. I mean, the bonus games are actually... They do something for you. You can get 1-ups, and you can extend your life meter, and the stars are continues. So we really enjoy act time in Aladdin here. Thankfully, there are no red gems in the rug level. And thankfully, the rug level is not some just straight-up Battletoads BS. I guess that is one reason you might prefer the Genesis version, because this version, having just played the Genesis version last week, it does feel very slow. Like, I might almost say it feels sluggish compared to that game. If it's your preference to play more fast-paced action games, the moment-to-moment gameplay in the Genesis version is probably going to be more palatable to you. The flip side of that coin, though, is most of the level design in the Genesis game is this weird back-and-forth, zigzaggy across giant maps, which kind of feels like the antithesis of fast moment-to-moment gameplay. I don't know, it kind of feels like it's at odds. That may not be a completely valid criticism, though. It's hard to say because I'm not in this game for the fast-paced, high-octane action. I would much rather have thoughtful gameplay than just breakneck gameplay, if that makes sense. Shoutouts to Mikkel Burns for sponsoring this video, and to everyone who helps make my channel possible by supporting me on Patreon.